Have you ever, amidst life's hustle and bustle, suddenly paused and asked yourself if still being able to breathe today, still having legs to walk, and still having a smile to share is something to be grateful for? Perhaps you are burdened with countless worries. Your heart holds unhealed wounds, or silent disappointments have accumulated over the years. But the Buddha once taught that a complete in and out breath, in mindfulness, is enough for us to find happiness. Because only when you realize that your breath remains, this body remains, and this consciousness remains, can you truly feel the precious gift of life. Try once to sit still, listen to the wind rustling through the trees, observe the gentle morning sunlight falling on the eaves, and you will feel your heart slow down. Each heartbeat is a miracle. Each step is an opportunity to connect with Mother Earth. Each smile is a word of comfort for yourself and for others. In impermanence, everything can vanish at any moment. So the fact that today you can still breathe deeply, move forward, and smile is a great blessing that many no longer have. Therefore, let today be a heartfelt thank you to life. Be grateful because we are still alive, loved, and nourished by every present moment. When the heart is grateful, all suffering gradually eases, and a peaceful light will naturally blossom in your soul. There are days you wake up with an unnamed heaviness. It might be work pressure, a sorrow that hasn't subsided, or simply an invisible emptiness clinging to your mind. You get out of bed, draw the curtains, look out at the sky, and see clouds still drifting, the wind still gently swaying the trees. Life continues, even if your heart holds silent undercurrents. In that moment, you ask yourself if there is anything left to be grateful for today. And the Buddha's answer resonates like a clear bell in your mind. Those who know gratitude will gain more blessings. Those who are ungrateful, no matter how much they have, will eventually lose it all. People with grateful hearts are not necessarily those whose lives are always abundant or at ease. They are grateful because they recognize that in every breath, every step, every smile, there are countless silent gifts supporting them. Gratitude does not erase life's difficulties, but it lightens our hearts, helping us suffer less from those hardships. It's like when it rains. We can't stop the rain from falling, but we can find an umbrella to walk more freely. Gratitude is that umbrella, a protective cloak for the soul against life's cold winds. Buddhist scriptures recall a story from the Anguttara Nikaya when a lay disciple asked the Buddha, "Venerable Blessed One, why is it that some people who are wealthy eventually decline, while others who are poor gradually prosper?" The Buddha replied that those who know gratitude, even with meager initial possessions, will see their blessings gradually increase. As for the ungrateful, no matter how much wealth they possess, they will sooner or later deplete it. Because gratitude is the stream that nourishes good seeds. When we sow and cultivate with gratitude, the tree of merit will grow strong, casting shade for ourselves and those around us. I once met an elderly woman. She lived in a small house at the end of an alley. Her corrugated iron roof was faded, and the walls showed marks of time. Her meals consisted only of a bowl of vegetable soup with a little sesame salt. Yet, whenever someone visited, she would just smile, She felt greatly fortunate to still be able to eat, to live under this roof, and to have her children and grandchildren visit. Her eyes were serene, her voice gentle, like the wind rustling through the leaves. Looking at her, I understood that true wealth isn't in the material possessions we hold, but in a heart that is grateful for every small thing. Try to remember the last time you had a meal with your family. It might have been a simple meal, a bowl of sour soup, a few braised fish, a plate of fresh, green boiled vegetables. Yet, if you eat it with gratitude, you will taste a sweetness many times greater. Be grateful for the hands that meticulously prepared each dish. Be grateful for the farmers in the fields, the fishermen offshore who toiled from dawn. Be grateful to heaven and earth for the favorable rain and wind that allow crops to grow. Just one meal, but it is the convergence of countless good karmic connections. Or a small home might not be chimsha or luxurious, but it's where we return. After a long, tiring day, that home keeps us warm in winter nights, shades us during summer noons, and is filled with laughter, tears, memories, and love. If one day we lose that place, we will understand that what seemed obvious were actually priceless gifts that we had carelessly forgotten. Sometimes, gratitude comes from truly simple things. A warm voice from parents calling to check in. A short text asking, "Have you eaten yet?" A phrase like, "Come home, my child," on a rainy afternoon. These are moments that seem small, but can save a wavering soul. A grateful person won't miss these things because they understand that every inquiry, every smile, is proof that they are loved. I once read the words of Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh. When you drink a sip of water, be grateful for the cloud that became rain. Be grateful for the river that brought the water. Be grateful for the trees and the earth. Nothing exists independently. All things inter-are to be present. We often forget this when we chase after grand aspirations. We search for happiness in distant places, not realizing it lies within each breath, each step we take. Gratitude is also a form of mindfulness. When you are grateful, you are fully present with what is happening, not letting your mind wander to the past or future. Being grateful for still breathing means we are conscious that we are alive. Being grateful for still being able to walk means we are feeling each step on the ground. Being grateful for still being able to smile means we are cherishing the peaceful moments that life offers. Buddhist teachings recognize that gratitude possesses a miraculous healing power. It helps ease the pain of wounds in the heart and softens our gaze toward life. When we are grateful, we no longer constantly complain about fate or compare ourselves to others. We begin to realize that what we have is already enough. And from this sense of sufficiency, serenity begins to sprout. If one day you feel you have nothing left to be grateful for, try closing your eyes and listening to your own breath. The inhale, the exhale, steady and gentle. Feel your heart still beating, your legs still strong enough to walk, your eyes still able to see the morning light. Just that alone gives you enough reason to thank life. Gratitude is not something distant or profound. It is simply the habit of turning to look at the ordinary things around you and saying thank you with all sincerity. When you are grateful, you will find yourself richer than any treasure, because the greatest treasure is a heart full of love and serenity. And as the Buddha once taught, those who know gratitude will always see their blessings grow. Be grateful today, and you will find more happiness tomorrow. Be grateful for the small things, and you will see yourself living in a world full of miracles. When gratitude becomes the natural rhythm of your life, even if storms rage outside, you will still find a peaceful haven within yourself. There are days you simply sit quietly by the window, watching the gentle morning sun flow onto the roof, listening to small birds chirping in the garden, and suddenly feel your heart soft. It doesn't have to be a grand gift or some mysterious miracle. Just such a peaceful moment is enough to warm our souls. In the hurried whirlwind of life, we often forget that it is precisely these seemingly mundane things that are life's most precious miracles. Do you remember the last time you took a deep breath, feeling the cool, fresh air fill your lungs? Just one breath, seemingly ordinary, yet it's the foundation for us to continue living. The Buddha once taught that this body is merely temporary, life as fragile as morning dew on a branch. If just one breath ceases, everything we try to hold on to becomes meaningless. Yet, every day, we are still breathing, walking, smiling. Isn't that a miracle? I once knew a woman who, before falling ill, lived like everyone else, busy with work, immersed in family worries, always thinking time was endless. But when doctors told her she only had a few months to live, everything seemed to collapse. Things she once took for granted suddenly became incredibly precious. A simple meal with her husband and children, a morning spent opening her eyes to see the sunlight, or simply feeling the aroma from a hot cup of tea was enough to bring tears to her eyes out of gratitude. It was then that she understood that happiness is not found in distant things, but right in every ordinary moment. Miracles are not always grand events or thrilling stories. Sometimes a miracle is simply being granted one more day to love, to care for someone, to see the smile of a loved one. Some people spend their entire lives chasing success, forgetting that the greatest success is simply waking up each morning, still breathing, still walking, still speaking, still hearing. Only when a storm of illness or loss strikes do we suddenly realize the most precious things we once had were precisely what we often overlooked. A small home, seemingly humble, is a shelter from life's storms. Within that home, children's laughter, the familiar voices of parents, the joyful sound of the kitchen fire, every evening meal, all are priceless gems. Some people, due to unfortunate events, have lost that home and had to live in a foreign land, only then realizing that an old tin roof or a stained lime-washed wall is still a distant dream. Buddhist teachings remind us that all things are impermanent. While you still have them, cherish them. Don't wait until they're gone to feel regret. Long ago, a renowned Zen master often taught his disciples, drink each sip of tea as if it were your last. He said, when you appreciate every drop of water, every subtle scent of tea, you will find yourself living fully. Similarly, when eating a meal, be grateful for each grain of rice, for the hands of the farmer, for the rain and sunlight that nourished the rice shoots. This is what mindfulness is, living in awareness, grateful for every small thing. Try once to sit down and quietly feel your heart beating. Each beat is a reminder that you still have the opportunity to love, to forgive, to start anew. Some people have departed too soon, taking with them many unfulfilled dreams. We so, who remain, if we endlessly chase distant things and forget to enjoy the present moment, aren't we truly wasting our lives? The Buddhist Teachings channel once visited an oncology hospital. There, I saw a gaunt man with a pale face, yet he managed a smile while talking to his son. He said that his greatest wish at that moment was not to win the lottery or own a grand house, but to be healthy enough to take his son to school each morning and share a simple meal with his family. Hearing that, I truly understood that what makes people happy is actually incredibly simple, but only when facing the fragile boundary between life and death do people truly realize it. The Buddha taught that happiness is not in how much wealth we possess, but in knowing contentment and gratitude. When our minds are grateful, the world immediately becomes open and rich. A grateful person can smile even with just a simple vegetable meal. An ungrateful person will feel empty even with the whole world in their hands. Therefore, the most ordinary things can sometimes be the greatest miracles, if we know how to see them with awakened eyes. Let us secretly thank our breath every morning when we wake up. Let every step on the village path beneath green trees become a happy step. Let every time we smile at someone, even a stranger, be a gift to life. Because when we are grateful for the small things, we will see ourselves living in a world brimming with miracles. And you know, that miracle isn't far away. It is right in this very moment, in the breath you just inhaled, in the warmth of your hands, in the gentle light shining through the window. Just stop for a moment, open your heart a little, and you will realize you are living in a magical garden where every leaf, every drop of dew is whispering that you are truly fortunate to still be here. The Buddha once said that a grateful person is one who knows how to live, while an ungrateful person is gradually losing their life. So no matter what circumstances you are in, no matter how many difficulties life presents, please take a moment to realize that you are still breathing, still walking, still smiling. And that alone is already a miracle. One crisp autumn morning, as the sun had not yet fully risen above the village bamboo groves, gentle golden light pierced through the leaves, falling onto the small dirt path leading to an old tiled roof house. Inside that house, an elderly woman had been awake for a long time. She didn't turn on the light. She just sat silently by the window, her trembling hands holding a hot cup of tea. The tea vapor mingled with the morning mist, forming a thin, ethereal wisp of smoke before her. She took a very slow sip, then gently closed her eyes and inhaled deeply. In that moment, she knew she was still alive, still breathing, and that was enough to fill her heart with gratitude. Many times, we think happiness must be grand things, a more spacious home, a better job, or a faraway trip. But the Buddha once taught that true happiness is always present right now, in things so seemingly ordinary that we inadvertently overlook them. We still wake up every morning, open our eyes, and see the light. We still step out of bed, our feet touching the ground, feeling its steady support. We can still raise our hands to touch our faces, hear our hearts beating rhythmically in our chests. All these things are miracles, but because they are so familiar, we take them for granted. A person who has been ill and confined to a bed for a long time will understand the value of being able to walk on their own. Someone who has lost their eyesight will deeply understand the happiness of seeing the dawn's light. Yet, every morning we rush out of the house, completely oblivious to how many gifts of life we have just passed by. We drink a cup of tea, but our minds are busy thinking about work, about unresolved worries. We eat a meal, but our minds have drifted to yesterday's events or are anxious about tomorrow. Therefore, happiness is present, but we are not there to recognize it. Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "Happiness is not something for us to run and seek in distant places, but rather the ability to recognize the conditions for happiness that are present within us and around us right now." That statement rings like a gentle bell in our consciousness. Try to pause for a moment, look around, and ask yourself, am I living in a moment worthy of gratitude? Am I still breathing? Am I still walking? Can I still smile? If the answer is yes, then please cherish it like a precious treasure. Yesterday has passed. Tomorrow has not yet arrived. Only today, this very moment, is truly ours. Wise people do not seek happiness in tomorrow, but fully enjoy what they have today. The Buddha taught about impermanence so that we do not waste time on fruitless endeavors. Everything will change, even the things we consider most stable. Therefore, every breath that remains in our chest, every smile that still blooms on our lips, is a precious opportunity to love, to forgive, to start anew. A young man once approached a Zen master and asked, "Teacher, how can I find happiness?" The Zen master didn't answer immediately. He simply handed the young man a glass of water and said, "Drink this." After the young man drank, the master asked, "Is the water good?" He nodded. "Yes, it's good." The Zen master smiled. "Do you see? You can drink water when you're thirsty. That is already happiness. But most people don't realize it because they're busy searching for happiness elsewhere." The young man suddenly understood that he had been searching for something that was always present in the simplest things. When we practice mindfulness, even breathing becomes a source of happiness. Try once to wake up in the morning, sit still in bed, close your eyes, and inhale deeply. Feel the cool, fresh air enter your lungs, then exhale very slowly. Just 3 breaths like that, and you will feel your heart soften. You will know you are alive. You will know you still have the opportunity to call a loved one, to send an apology, to do a kind deed. You will know that today you can still smile at a stranger, still walk on a familiar path, still gaze at the blue sky stretching above. Happiness is not in where we arrive, but in how we walk. When our steps are firmly planted in the present, each step becomes a blossoming flower beneath our feet. When our minds remain with each moment, everything can become a miracle. A bird singing on a branch, a gentle breeze through your hair, a shared glance on a street corner. If we know how to pause and notice, all these things will become a refreshing stream that nourishes the soul. Some people only realize how happy they once were when they face loss. When we are young and healthy, we take health for granted. When loved ones are by our side, we forget that they are precious gifts. When we can walk freely, we don't realize our legs are carrying us through so many beautiful sights. Only when we lose these things do we feel regret. But regret is only the past. What we can do today is open our hearts to be grateful and enjoy what we have right now while it is still here. An old Zen master once said, "Every morning when you wake up, smile and whisper, 'I am alive. I have a new day to love, to understand, to live deeply. I am happy.'" Just that one phrase, if repeated daily, will become a soul-nourishing habit. Because when we start the new day with gratitude, everything that comes our way throughout the day also becomes lighter. Grateful for our breath, we will live more slowly. Grateful for our legs, we will walk more steadily. Grateful for our eyes, we will look at life with a gentler gaze. Grateful for our smiles, we will share warmth with others more often. Grateful even for tears, we will understand that suffering is also a part of happiness, for it is through suffering that we learn to cherish joy and peace. If you are tired today, please sit down for a moment. You don't need to do much. Just inhale deeply. Feel your chest expand with life. Then exhale very slowly. Release the burdens weighing on your shoulders. Let your breath become the connection between you and the wondrous life flowing through every cell. Let your heart remember that you still have the opportunity to love, to say thank you, to correct mistakes, to start over. Miracles are not far away. They are precisely the things we have but often forget. Just open your eyes to see, open your heart to feel, and you will realize that every day you can still breathe, still walk, still smile, is a priceless gift that life has bestowed. And when you realize that, you will no longer waste another day, because every day is a day to be grateful for. There are days when people wake up with a heavy sigh. The morning light seeps through the cracks in the door, but the heart feels no warmth. The birds chirping outside, the wind gently rustling through the bamboo, all seem merely a dull backdrop for a sagging soul. A middle-aged man sits on his porch, gazing into the distance. Life seems laden with invisible burdens. The burden of daily living, the burden of sadness, the burden of unfulfilled things. He sighs, asking himself, "What's the point of living when all around me is suffering?" One afternoon, as the sun began to fade, he decided to visit a temple on a hilltop where he heard a renowned Zen master known for his wisdom and compassion resided. The path up to the temple was winding. The wind blowing through the pine branches made the rustling leaves sound like whispers of the mountains. He took heavy steps, his heart filled with confusion and weariness. In his mind, there was only one desire: to find an answer to the question, why must I continue to live in such suffering? Meeting the Zen master, he bowed and then poured out his laments. He recounted his failures, his losses, and the injustices he had endured. He spoke of his loneliness within his family, how no matter how much he worked, it was never enough. And no matter how hard he tried, life seemed to crush him. Tears welled in his eyes, his voice choked. And finally he said, "Teacher, I truly see no reason to live any longer. I am utterly exhausted." The Zen master remained silent for a long time, his gentle eyes bright, as if peering into the depths of the man's heart. Then the master gently stood up, went inside, and returned with an incense stick. He handed the incense stick to the man and said, "Light this incense stick. Imagine that when this stick burns out, your life will also come to an end. Tonight is the last night you will breathe, see, hear, and live. Tomorrow, you will not wake up again. Live this entire night as if it were the last night of your life." The man took the incense stick, slightly bewildered, but faced with the Zen master's calm gaze, he could not object. The incense stick began to release a light fragrance, thin blue smoke rising, twirling around the warm yellow oil lamp. The Zen master said nothing more, only placed a hand on the man's shoulder, as if imparting something profound that words could not express. Returning home, he sat silently on the porch, watching the incense stick slowly burn down. That night's sky seemed deeper, more peaceful than usual. He suddenly noticed the crickets chirping, the wind rustling through the banana trees, the soft steps of a cat passing by. All these sounds, which seemed so ordinary, now became precious. Every sound, every breath, seemed to signal that he was still here, still existing in this world. He looked inside his house and saw his wife bustling about, preparing a meal, his young child busily coloring, hair falling across their cheek. This scene usually unfolded every day, but tonight he saw it as extraordinarily beautiful. He saw his wife's calloused hands, as if they held a lifetime of silent sacrifice. He saw his child's innocent smile, brighter than the lamp. A warm feeling surged through his heart. He wondered when he had forgotten that he possessed all these things. As time passed, the incense stick grew shorter. He thought of the things he hadn't yet done, hadn't thanked his parents, hadn't apologized to an old friend, hadn't held his child close for a long time, hadn't taken a walk under the moonlight with his wife. He realized he had spent too much time lamenting and regretting instead of cherishing the moments that were unfolding. That night, he didn't rush to sleep. He sat watching the moon rise high, listening to the sounds of the night. He drank a warm cup of tea, feeling the warmth spread throughout his body. Each breath suddenly became deeper, clearer. In that moment, he suddenly remembered the Buddha's teaching in the Anguttara Nikaya. A person who knows they have one more day to live is infinitely fortunate, because each day is an opportunity to mend, to love, to sow good seeds for the future. When the incense stick burned down, a final wisp of smoke curled up and then dissolved into the air. He sat there for a long time, feeling as though he had just bid farewell to something precious. But strangely, instead of fear, he felt an unusual peace in his heart. He understood that a day of life is a gift, that an in and out breath is not a given, but a miracle. And he still had that miracle. The next morning, he opened his eyes as the first light of day filled the room. His heart stirred, realizing he was still alive. He stepped outside, took a deep breath, and felt the scent of wildflowers in the garden. The sky was bluer, the birds sang louder, everything became clearer. He smiled, a smile he had long forgotten. He returned to the temple and bowed in gratitude to the Zen master. The Zen master smiled gently and said, "You have seen it now. Suffering still exists, but it is not everything. Only when you know you can lose something do you truly cherish what you have. Every breath is an opportunity to live better. Every day you open your eyes is a day to be grateful for." From then on, he no longer lived as a weary man. He still worked, still cared for his family, but in his heart, he always kept a flame of gratitude. Every morning when he woke up, he whispered to himself, "Thank you that today I can still breathe." And strangely enough, the small things he previously overlooked now became an endless source of happiness. A simple meal, a leisurely afternoon drinking tea, a child's hug, all were graces of life. The lesson from that story permeated his heart like a cool stream on a summer noon. Human life is impermanent. What is here today may be gone tomorrow. But precisely because of impermanence, each present moment becomes invaluable. To live without gratitude is like walking in a flower garden and only looking at the rocks and soil. Only when we open our eyes and our hearts do we see the vibrant flowers blooming all around us. If one day you feel life is too heavy, try to imagine you only have one night left to live. You will realize that you don't need much to be happy. Just being able to breathe, to walk, to smile is enough to thank heaven and earth. And when you live with that grateful heart, you will see that even suffering can become the material for growth and deeper love. There are mornings when you wake up and realize it's raining. Not a gentle drizzle on the porch, but a heavy downpour. The wind whips fiercely, making every door rattle. You step out onto the balcony, look outside, and see a gray sky. Your heart suddenly feels heavy, as if the whole world is gloomy with you. On such days, joy seems hard to find. But did you know that even on those rainy, windy days, if you keep a small lamp in your heart, that is, gratitude, you can still see a warm ray of light comforting your soul? The Buddha once taught that a person with a grateful heart possesses great blessings. Because when we are grateful, we not only look at what we have, but also see value even in the most ordinary things. Gratitude is not just for days when we are happy, joyful, or when everything goes smoothly. Gratitude is a guiding lamp, especially during the soul's darkest nights when we lose faith. If we are only grateful when things are convenient, that gratitude is not deep enough. It's like someone who only loves a flower when it blooms, but forgets that a flower also needs love when it is just a tiny bud. Buddhist teachings recall a time when a friend of mine had to stay in the hospital for 3 whole months. The illness came unexpectedly, taking away both her strength and her inherent radiant smile. During her days in the hospital bed, hearing only the sound of the heart monitor and the footsteps of doctors, she deeply understood the value of being able to breathe freely and take a deep breath. She recounted that before she had never paid attention to her breath, never thought it was something to cherish. But when she had to wear an oxygen tube, each inhalation became an effort, and she realized that ordinary breathing is a priceless gift. The Buddha once taught that every breath we still receive is proof that we are still alive, still have the opportunity to change, to love, to do good. Therefore, a person who is grateful for their breath has touched the foundation of happiness. When you are healthy, thank your body for silently serving you every day. When you are tired, be grateful that your body still strives to keep you standing. Be grateful even when you are weak, for that is when you are reminded to return and care for yourself. There are losses in life that cause us so much pain that we feel we cannot recover. But then, those very losses teach us to cherish what we have. Someone who has said goodbye to a loved one truly knows how precious every moment spent together was. Someone who has lost a good friend truly understands that friendship is a gift not easily found. Pain teaches us that nothing lasts forever. And because of that, every moment that still exists becomes even more worthy of gratitude. I once heard a very beautiful Zen story. A Zen master and his disciple were walking on a village road in winter. It was very cold, and the wind was biting. The disciple shivered, his face grim. The Zen master looked at him and said, "Do you notice? Even though it's cold today, we can still walk on our own 2 feet." The disciple nodded slightly, still not understanding. The Zen master smiled gently. "If one day you cannot walk, you will remember today with all gratitude. The cold is only temporary, but healthy legs are a priceless thing you currently possess." Upon hearing this, the disciple was struck. It turns out that gratitude can blossom even on cold days, if only we are willing to look deeply into reality. Looking at nature, we also see this lesson. Trees in winter stand bare, and the wind whipping through them as if trying to break their fragile branches. Yet the tree does not complain about winter because it knows it is a time to rest, to prepare for the coming spring. If the tree only knew gratitude for spring and hated winter, it would never find peace. Similarly, human life has 4 seasons. Both joyful and sorrowful seasons need to be cherished equally. A truly grateful person is not one who only smiles when good things happen, but one who maintains serenity when facing difficulties. Because that person understands that every challenge is an opportunity to learn, to open the heart. Be grateful not only for what you receive, but also for what you lose. For loss helps us understand the value of what once existed. In the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha taught that whether facing favorable or unfavorable circumstances, a grateful person is not swept away by the currents of anger and resentment. Gratitude is like an anchor for the mind. We are not adrift in the storms of life. A grateful person realizes that even when it's raining and windy, they can still smile because today's rain will nourish the green shoots of tomorrow. If today you are in the stormy days of life, please gently place your hand on your chest. Feel your heartbeat. Each beat is a reminder that you are still alive, still have the opportunity to continue writing your life story. You may not yet see the sun, but even in the rain, you carry a seed of the light within your heart. Gratitude will help that seed sprout so that one day you will smile and realize that you have grown stronger because of the difficult days. Remember that gratitude is not only present during joyful celebrations or moments of success. It is also in the drops of sweat when you strive to work, in the moment you wipe away tears to move forward, in the quiet solitude as you listen to the rain fall. When you are grateful for such moments, you will see that life, no matter what, is still a precious gift. And then you will realize that every day you can still breathe, still walk, still smile, is a day to be grateful for. Not because today is perfect, but because you are still present, still experiencing, still loved. At that time, your heart will become light and serene, like a calm lake, and you will smile, even if it's still raining outside. One autumn morning, I met an elderly woman sitting on her porch, her frail hands caressing rosary beads, her gaze distant yet unusually gentle. I asked her, "What are you chanting, Grandma?" She smiled. "I'm chanting gratitude." I was surprised. She gently continued, "Gratitude for life, gratitude for loved ones, and even gratitude for those who once made me sad." That answer lingered with me. In her every word, I recognized a truth that the Buddha once taught. Gratitude is happiness. Ingratitude is suffering. When we carry gratitude, we are light. When we hold resentment, our hearts feel like they're carrying a heavy rock. Many ask, how can one be grateful when enduring hurt? How can one smile at someone who has made you cry? The Buddhist answer is profoundly simple. Every event, every person who passes through our lives is a lesson. If they bring us joy, we are grateful for that happiness. If they cause us pain, we are even more grateful, because through it, we learn to be stronger and more forgiving. Zen. Master. Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "When we embrace suffering, we will see that suffering as a gift. It helps us understand ourselves and life more deeply. Someone who has hurt you doesn't necessarily have to become a friend, but they must become a teacher. For they have taught you a lesson in patience and resilience. Try once to sit still, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and recall moments in your life. You will see that even during difficult times, there was still a hand extended to help, a comforting word, a compassionate glance. And even when no one is by your side, you can still rely on your breath, your legs, your smile. Every heartbeat, every cool breeze, every sunbeam passing through a crack in the door is a reminder that you are still alive and still have the opportunity to renew your life. The healing method begins with gratitude. When we are grateful, we stop blaming fate, stop comparing ourselves to others. We no longer dwell on, "Why did this happen to me?" but instead gently ask, "What is this here to teach me?" When the question changes, the emotions in our hearts also change. Resentment transforms into understanding, anger into compassion, and then pain is as if washed away by a cool, fresh stream, leaving within us an open space for peace to enter. If every day you take a little time to write down 3 things you are grateful for, you will be surprised to find your mind becoming much lighter. Perhaps today you are grateful for still having healthy legs to go to work, grateful for hearing birds sing outside your window this morning, grateful for still having a hot meal to return to after a tiring day. These seemingly small things are invaluable spiritual medicine. They teach us that happiness is not far away, but lies right within every present moment. In the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha once taught that those who are grateful and reciprocate kindness are rare in this world. This means that simply by maintaining a grateful heart in daily life, you are already walking the path to peace that many seek their entire lives without finding. Because when we are grateful, we no longer feel deprived. When we are grateful, we realize that we are already complete. And in that feeling of completeness, all wounds of the soul gradually heal. One windless afternoon, if you try stepping outside and watching the sunset, you will see the sky change colors very slowly. The day's fading light gently embraces the tree branches, the rooftops, the familiar roads. That is also how gratitude touches our hearts, not loudly, not hastily, but quietly, spreading warmth and soothing every scratch on the soul. When we are grateful, we are giving ourselves an opportunity to live peacefully amidst life's many changes. And when night falls, before going to sleep, you just need to place your hand on your chest, breathe slowly, and whisper to yourself, "Today I am grateful because I am still here." Just that simple sentence is enough to soothe weariness, to remind us how lovely and precious this life still is. Because as long as we can breathe, walk, and smile, we still have everything. There are mornings when, as soon as we open our eyes, we hear the alarm clock urging us on, the noisy traffic outside, and unfinished plans from yesterday still lingering in our minds. Life feels like a carousel that sweeps us away, to the point where sometimes we forget that simply waking up, still breathing, still feeling the morning light seeping through the window, is a miracle not everyone gets. Many people went to sleep last night, but did not wake up this morning. Many are struggling on the fragile boundary between life and death in hospitals, wishing only to open their eyes and see the sky one more time. As for us, we are still alive, still granted another day. Therefore, the moment you open your eyes, if you can place your hand on your chest, feel your heart beating steadily, then gently say to yourself, "Thank you that I am still alive." That seemingly simple act holds immense healing energy. Because when we become aware of our presence, we begin to cherish every moment of the present. The Buddha once taught that each breath is a gift. When we know how to return to our breath, we no longer drift in past anxieties or future fantasies. That moment becomes a sanctuary for our souls to find peace. Many Zen masters have practiced this as a morning ritual. They wake up, not rushing out of bed, but gently placing their hand over their heart, smiling, and silently thanking life. The heartbeat is like a bell, reminding us that we still have the opportunity to love, to mend, to live a day more fully than yesterday. In Buddhism, gratitude is not an action that only occurs when something grand happens. Gratitude is the breath of the soul, a way for us to live mindfully every moment. Someone asked a Zen master, "Teacher, how can I find happiness every day?" The Zen master smiled and replied, "Begin by being grateful when you open your eyes in the morning. As long as you can still see the light, you have a precious day." That seemingly simple statement is the key to unlocking a serene soul. When you leave your bed and step onto the floor, feel your legs still steady, still able to carry you anywhere. Pay attention to the birds chirping in the garden, the gentle sunlight shining through the window, the soft breeze carrying the scent of plants. These seemingly small things are life's gentle messages, reminding us that the world is still beautiful and we are still a part of it. Don't rush immediately into busy tasks. Give yourself a few minutes to stand by the window. Take a deep breath, smile, and say inwardly, I am grateful that today I am still alive. Just that one word of gratitude is enough to warm the heart, as if light spreads through every vein. Then, when you step out onto the street amidst worries and life's hurried pace, you can still practice gratitude gently. That's when you notice a stranger's smile on the street, the gentle eyes of an elderly street vendor, or an innocent child holding their mother's hand crossing the road. That's when you see sunlight piercing through the leaves, roadside flowers blooming as if welcoming passers-by. These images, if we pause for a moment to see them, can all become sources of positive energy. A person practicing mindfulness will not overlook these seemingly insignificant things, because they know these are the pieces that make up a worthwhile day. A Zen story tells of a young monk who, while still training, often complained to his master that life was too dull, with nothing special. His master simply smiled, led him to the garden, pointed to a small flower, and asked, "Do you see this flower?" The young monk nodded. The master said, "Tomorrow, if you come here, it will have bloomed a little more. Next week, it will be in full bloom. Then it will fade. Life is just like that. Each moment changes. And if you don't take time to see it, you will miss its beauty." From then on, the young monk learned to be grateful for even the smallest things, because it is precisely these that make each day meaningful. Throughout the day, there will be times when we feel bad, stressed, or sad. That is when practicing gratitude becomes even more essential. Instead of drowning in negative thoughts, we can pause, close our eyes, and recall something good that happened today. Perhaps it was just a warm lunch with family, a message from an old friend we haven't seen in a while, or simply completing a difficult task. When we are grateful for these things, our minds feel refreshed. The heaviness dissipates, and we feel re-energized to move forward. The Buddha once taught, "Be grateful for difficulties, for they teach you patience and growth." Practicing gratitude is not only for favorable times, but also when we face challenges. If we look deeply, we will see that every difficulty conceals a lesson. A person who fails in business can be grateful because it taught them better management skills. A person who experiences illness can be grateful because it taught them to value health. Being grateful even for adversity is the key to transforming suffering into strength. Then, as evening falls and the sunset bathes every rooftop in gold, let your mind settle. Looking at the day's last rays of sunlight, we suddenly realize a day is closing. This is a wonderful time to reflect on everything that has happened and find at least one thing to be grateful for. Perhaps it was a kind word from a colleague, a call from a loved one, or simply that you had a peaceful day without incident. When we acknowledge these things, our hearts become lighter, no longer burdened by imperfections. Before sleeping, try closing your eyes and recalling a beautiful image from the day. Perhaps it was a child's tight hug, a cool breeze blowing through the porch, or the gentle light of a desk lamp as you read a book. Place your hand on your heart, smile, and whisper, "I am grateful for everything I received today." That is not just a thank you to life, but also a thank you to yourself for living fully in every moment. The ancients said, To know contentment is happiness. To be grateful is wealth. When we are grateful, we realize we already have many precious things and no longer chase endless illusions. Gratitude helps us pause to enjoy and love what we have. When living with gratitude, we will see that every day is a gift. Every breath is an opportunity to start anew. An old Zen master once told his disciples, "When you eat, be grateful for every grain of rice. When you drink, be grateful for every drop of water. When you breathe, be grateful for every gust of wind. And when you sleep, be grateful that you still have tomorrow to live." These words are simple, yet contain profound wisdom. Practicing gratitude in the smallest things is the path that leads us to peace. One day, as we grow accustomed to practicing gratitude, we will realize that life is always full of things to cherish. We will complain less, compare less, demand less. We will find our hearts as light as clouds, our souls as clear as a stream, and smiles always on our lips. At that point, gratitude will no longer be an effort, but will become the natural breath of life. And if one day we were to meet our past selves, the one who used to complain, easily got angry, or often forgot the good things, we would smile and say, "Thank you for having been that way," so that today we could learn how to be grateful. Because the journey of a beautiful life is not about never falling, but about knowing how to get up and cherish every step. Practicing gratitude in daily life does not require complex rituals. Just place your hand on your chest each morning and say thank you for being alive. Recognize the good things, however small, throughout the day, and recall at least one thing to be grateful for in the evening. If we persist in doing so, each passing day will become warmer, our souls more peaceful, and our lives brighter. Because as the Buddha taught, a grateful mind is fertile ground for all good things to blossom. Finally, please remember that we don't need to wait until we lose something to appreciate it. Right now, while your breath remains, while your legs can still walk, while a smile can still bloom on your lips, be grateful. Because every day you can still breathe, still walk, still smile, is a day worth living, a day to be grateful for. And when you know how to live in gratitude, you have found the key to unlock the door to peace that you have long been searching for. There are mornings when we wake up and suddenly realize we are still breathing. Our feet are still firmly touching the ground, and a smile can still bloom on our lips. In that moment, if we know how to pause for a bit to feel, we will experience a gentle happiness permeating our body and mind. Many people spend their entire lives diligently searching for happiness somewhere far away, forgetting that happiness is not a destination, but a deep awareness of what one already has. The Buddha once taught that a grateful person, even with a simple meal, feels as if they are attending a grand feast. Even with only a small home, they feel as if they are in a palace. I once met a middle-aged woman in a small rural village. She lived alone in an old wooden house with limited income, spending her days growing vegetables and raising chickens. When I asked her if she felt sad about not living as luxuriously as others, she just smiled, her eyes sparkling under the afternoon sun. She said that every morning, opening the door to see the sunrise pouring into her kitchen, hearing the chickens crow, and breathing the fresh air of the fields was enough. She said, gratitude transforms everything she has into sufficiency, turning seemingly ordinary moments into cherished ones. I suddenly understood that wealth or poverty does not determine the peace of the soul. What truly determines it is how we look at life and appreciate what exists. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha taught that the contented person is the wealthiest, finding peace on a simple bamboo bed as if in a palace. That saying is not just a philosophy, but also a roadmap guiding the soul. When we are grateful, we are no longer caught in comparison, no longer feel deprived amidst life's vastness. We learn to cherish every meal, every drop of water, every breeze, every laugh. Each moment becomes a gift, however small, yet imbued with the flavor of wondrous life. Buddhist teachings recall a Zen story about an old Zen master. One day, while drinking tea with his disciple, the master gently said, "If you only know how to drink tea when you have the finest kind, you will rarely have the chance to enjoy it your entire life. But if you are grateful for drinking any cup of tea, then every cup of tea will become happiness." The disciple was silent, as if he had just realized something he had long overlooked. We are the same. If we only wait for everything to be perfect to find happiness, we will never truly touch real happiness. Happiness only comes when we pause, recognize, and are grateful for what we have in this very moment. Some people spend their entire lives tirelessly searching for grand things, forgetting that what they are looking for is sometimes right before their eyes. We wish for more money, but overlook the simple joy of having a meal with family. We wish for a bigger house, but forget the warmth of the small room that shelters us every night. We wish to find happiness in a faraway place, but overlook the birds chirping on the porch, the gentle breeze through our hair, or the moment the sun just woke up. Gratitude is the key to unlocking the door to peace in the soul, a way for us to realize that we are already complete. One afternoon, I stood by the riverbank, watching the sunset. The water sparkled with golden orange hues, and birds soared against the pale purple sky. In that moment, all worries seemed to vanish. I felt my heart as light as a cloud, wishing only to softly smile and whisper words of gratitude to heaven and earth. Gratitude doesn't require waiting until we achieve something grand, but rather lies in recognizing the beauty of an ordinary moment. That is spiritual wealth that no amount of money can buy. Grateful people live a light life. They do not compare, demand, or chase endless illusions. They see flowers blooming by the roadside and smile. They gently cherish the clasped hand of a loved one, understanding that one day that hand will let go. They value every loving word, knowing that time never turns back. In every step, every breath, they leave a mark of mindfulness and gratitude. When living gratefully, we not only bring peace to ourselves, but also spread serenity to those around us. A sincere thank you can soothe a hurting heart. A grateful glance can make others feel warm, and a grateful soul can make the whole world gentler. The Buddha once taught that a grateful mind is like a cool stream. Wherever it flows, flowers and fruits will flourish. A grateful person always lives in happiness, no matter how external circumstances change. If one day you feel a heaviness in your heart, try to pause and think of 3 things you are grateful for right now. Perhaps it's that you can still breathe, still see the light, still hear the laughter of a loved one. When you place your mind in gratitude, all worries gradually become small, and you will realize that you hold more in your hands than you ever imagined. To live gratefully is to live peacefully. A grateful person doesn't need much, but always feels sufficient. They don't need to wait until everything is perfect to smile, because happiness is already here, right in the moment. They recognize simple yet precious things. They know that gratitude transforms what they have into enough, turns ordinary moments into cherished memories, and makes life a sacred journey to appreciate. And in that gratitude, our souls are healed like a gentle rain, washing away all dust, allowing us to return to our true selves, light, free, and serene. Whenever dawn light filters through the window, gentle golden light covering each leaf, I often pause for a moment to take a deep, long breath, not to check how healthy my lungs are, but to feel that I am still breathing, still alive, still witnessing a new day. Perhaps amidst life's hurried pace, we forget that this is already a priceless gift. Many people think happiness comes when circumstances change, when obstacles disappear. But in reality, happiness begins the moment our minds change. The Buddha's teachings still echo through 1,000 years. It's not that life becomes easier, but that our minds become open. And from there, burdens suddenly become light as melting clouds. Long ago, there was a man who toiled his whole life to make a living. He believed that only when he had enough money and possessions could he feel at peace and smile. But then one day, he fell gravely ill, confined to his sickbed, no longer having the strength to plan anything. At that time, he only wished to regain his health so he could go to the garden to breathe fresh air, hear the roosters crow in the morning, and feel the gentle breeze caress his cheeks. He realized that happiness was never in distant places, but only required opening his heart to appreciate the present. And it was already right there. From then on, he changed his way of life, cherishing every simple moment and smiling more. When the mind changes, the world around us also changes. On the same path, if the mind is heavy, we see it as long, arduous, and full of obstacles. But when the heart is full of gratitude, each step becomes a musical note. Each tree by the roadside becomes a vibrant painting. That is the miracle of gratitude. It doesn't erase difficulties, but transforms them into a cherished part of the journey. A grateful person will not ask, "Why is this happening to me?" but rather tell themselves, "What is this here to teach me?" Once, a Zen master told his disciple a story about a glass cup. He said, "I consider this cup already broken, so when I use it, I cherish every time I drink from it. When it truly falls and breaks, I do not suffer, because I was grateful for every moment it was intact." This world is also like that. Everything is within impermanence. When we are grateful for even the smallest things, we are no longer overly afraid of loss. Gratitude is not meant to paint life in rosy colors, but to give us new eyes that can see light even when dark clouds cover the sky. Just like a lotus flower, growing from the mud, gratitude helps our minds blossom, even in unpleasant circumstances. It does not demand that we change the entire world. It only asks us to change the way we look at the world. People often chase after a future happiness, forgetting that true happiness is present right here, right now. And now, as you hold a hot cup of tea in your hands, feel the warmth spread into your palms and hear the gentle drumming of rain on the tiled roof. That is already a moment of peace. If you are grateful for that moment, happiness will spread like the subtle aroma of tea permeating every breath. The Buddha taught that gratitude is a virtuous deed, the cause of blessings. A person with a grateful heart is like fertile ground. Whatever seeds they sow will easily sprout. When our minds are open, in gratitude, the seeds of peace and joy will blossom. Conversely, if the mind only holds resentment and dissatisfaction, then even when everything is favorable, we will still feel deprived and uneasy. Try to take a little time each day to remind yourself of what you have. It could be your health, a home that shelters you from rain and sun, loved ones still by your side, or simply a satisfying meal. It doesn't have to be grand, just sincere. When you start with small things, you will find your mind becoming lighter, and happiness will quietly reside in your heart. And if today you are going through a difficult period, remember that gratitude doesn't demand you be falsely cheerful. It only asks you to recognize that there is still something to cherish, no matter how small. Like a seed, finding a way to sprout between rocks, gratitude is the silent strength that helps you stand up, guiding you forward on your path. Happiness is not a destination to wait for, but a door that is always open when we carry the key of gratitude. When that door opens, light will flood in, warming the soul and showing us that this world has never abandoned us. Just every morning when you open your eyes and know you are still breathing, still walking, still smiling, smile and whisper, "Thank you, life. Thank you for still being here today." One morning, as I stepped onto the porch, a gentle breeze wafted by, and I suddenly felt a strange peace in my heart. Birds chirped somewhere on the old neem tree branches, and the first light of day gently filtered through the leaves, creating sparkling streaks of light on the ground. It all felt like a gentle symphony that if I hadn't paused, if I had just kept rushing through everyday worries, I might have missed. In that moment, I thought of the people around me. Some were busy making a living, some were grappling with pain, and some were searching for a reason to keep smiling. When nurtured, gratitude not only soothes our hearts, but also becomes a silent lamp that shines, illuminating the path for other wavering hearts. The Buddha once taught that a grateful soul is fertile ground for all good seeds to sprout. Grateful people, even unintentionally, become silent examples, teaching others how to live. They don't need eloquent advice, nor do they need to deliver sermons. Simply, through their serene presence, their appreciative gaze, their smile as light as a breeze, they sow in the hearts of those around them a belief that this life is still worth living, still full of things to love. That is how they naturally spread gratitude, like the scent of flowers in the wind, unobtrusive, yet making anyone who passes by feel a lightness in their heart. I remember a time when a friend of mine experienced a major upheaval in her life. She lost her beloved job, her health declined, and her family faced difficulties. But instead of complaining, every morning she would go to her garden, slowly tending to each cluster of flowers. She said, Every time I water the plants, I feel like I'm also watering my soul. The plants benefit from the water, and I benefit from gratitude. Indeed, though she didn't say much, anyone who came near her felt a gentle energy radiating. That energy made them want to slow down, to look at life with more grateful eyes. I understood that it was gratitude that transformed her into a source of inspiration, even though she never thought she was, teaching anyone anything. Sometimes, one person's gratitude is an invisible thread connecting the hearts of many others. Like a drop of water in a calm pond, touching the surface, the ripples spread further and further. Grateful people are the same. They're like clear drops of water, creating ripples of peace in the world. Their presence is not loud or demanding. As long as they live truly from their hearts, that gratitude is enough to touch the hearts of others. In the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha once taught that those who are grateful and reciprocate kindness are rare in this world. This statement not only speaks of remembering those who have helped us, but also reminds us that when we live gratefully, that very mindset will be perceived by the world around us. Others will see a beautiful model of living, and then they too will naturally want to cultivate a grateful heart. Like good seeds continually sown, growing, and giving rise to new seeds, the stream of gratitude never runs dry. And then you will see that when we live gratefully, we don't need to tell anyone to be grateful, because the way we live is the most beautiful invitation. The gentleness in every action, the patience in listening, eyes filled with human kindness, all become silent lessons that those around us will naturally absorb. In truth, in this life, the most profound lessons often do not come from sermons, but from how people live. If one day you feel too small, not strong enough to change anything grand, remember that simply by living gratefully, you are already contributing to making this world a better place. Like a small lotus flower in a pond, even without striving to display its beauty, its fragrance still travels far, reaching those who are fortunate enough to pass by. Similarly, your gratitude will spread silently, but persistently, lighting small lamps in the hearts of others. Try closing your eyes for a moment. Feel your breath going in and out to realize you are still alive. Think of someone you are grateful for, or a small thing that warmed your heart today. Hold that feeling in your heart, like holding a flower in your hand, and then let it naturally release its fragrance into every word, every gesture you offer to life. At that time, you are not only being grateful, but also sowing seeds of gratitude in the hearts of others, so that one day they too will blossom into flowers of peace and love. As dawn's light gently touched the window frame, I quietly opened my eyes and heard sparrows chirping somewhere in the garden. I don't always feel joyful when starting a new day, but then, in such moments, I realize I am still breathing. My heart is still beating, and a new day is unfolding before my eyes. I suddenly remembered the Buddha's teaching. Every in-breath is a miracle. Every out-breath is liberation. The mere fact that I am still breathing is a gift that life bestows. There is a simple practice I often do every morning before starting anything. I place my right hand on my chest, feeling each beat of my heart. I gently close my eyes, breathe deeply, and then whisper to myself, "Thank you that I am still alive." Just that short sentence is enough to calm so many hurried worries. In that moment, I feel my heart soften like a dewdrop gently falling on a morning petal. And strangely, I don't know when, but I find that day feels lighter, even though there's still a lot of work and challenges remain. When we know how to pause, even for a moment, to feel the life flowing within us, only then do we truly feel alive, not just existing. Amidst life's hurried pace, we often forget this. We rush to open our phones, check messages, dive into work, then stay busy until late at night. But let's ask ourselves, how many minutes have we spent just quietly feeling that we are still breathing, still walking, still smiling? We often wait for something grand to call it happiness, forgetting that happiness lies right within every breath and the most ordinary steps. I remember Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh once told a story about a disciple who always complained that life was too stressful. The master didn't offer much advice, just handed him a hot cup of tea. The master said, "Drink this cup of tea as if it were the first and last time you will ever drink it." The disciple took the cup, smelled the aroma, took a sip, and then fell silent. He realized he had never drunk tea so slowly. He had never truly paid attention to the taste of tea on his tongue. And it was in that moment that he truly grasped what the master wanted to say. Happiness is not far away. It is right here, in every simple experience we often overlook. Gratitude is also like that. It's not a grand gesture. It doesn't require flowery words, but merely a return. A return to your heartbeat, to your breath, to the most ordinary things that, if lost one day, would leave us feeling so empty. This morning you woke up. The light is still there. The sky is still blue. Birds are still singing. Your legs can still carry you out of bed. If you realize this, you are richer than countless people struggling in hospitals, longing just to stand up one more time. When I began to practice gratitude every morning, I noticed a very subtle change. Initially, it was just a few seconds of placing my hand on my chest, but gradually, that gratitude spread to other moments throughout the day. When eating a meal, I was grateful for the hands that cooked it, grateful for the grains of rice from distant fields. When walking beneath trees, I was grateful for the shade and the rustling leaves. When hearing a child's laughter, I was grateful that life gave me the opportunity to witness such innocence. And you know, those moments of gratitude healed old wounds in my heart, gently yet profoundly. There are days when I, too, fall into a spiral of stress, pressure, sadness, and fatigue, making me forget to pause. But then, a distant temple bell rings, as if reminding me to return to myself. I stop, take a deep breath, feeling my chest rise and fall. I close my eyes and silently say, "Thank you." Just that, but it was like a cool drop of water falling onto dry land. I felt life in every cell, and my heart softened. The Buddha once taught that a grateful person is the wealthiest in the world because they recognize the value of what they have. That saying is not just a philosophy, but a way of living. When we practice gratitude, every day, we not only cultivate joy in the present, but also protect our minds from dissatisfaction, comparison, and excessive desires. Gratitude is the key that opens the door to peace, leading us out of the narrow room of anxiety and into the vast garden of happiness. And you know, practicing gratitude doesn't need to be elaborate. Every morning, before starting a new day, just pause for a moment. Place your hand on your chest, feel your heartbeat, and silently say thank you. During the day, when you find yourself rushing, stop. Take a deep breath, look around, and notice something to be grateful for. It could be the golden sunlight falling on a rooftop, a familiar face you meet on the street, or the aroma of a morning coffee. As long as you can breathe, walk, and smile, you still have the opportunity to love, to forgive, to renew yourself. Don't wait until you lose something to feel regret. Start right now with small moments of gratitude. Then you will see that even if life still has its storms, your heart will still have a peaceful sky. And then you will realize that every day you live is truly precious, truly worthy of cherishing, like a priceless gift from life. Some people only realize how fortunate they once were when they experience loss. When loved ones are no longer present, when legs can no longer walk, when laughter only echoes in memory, only then do they realize how many cherished moments they have missed. But in the Buddha's teachings, awakening lies not in yesterday's regrets, but in the completeness of today. We don't need to wait until loss strikes to bow our heads in gratitude, because right now, in the breath that moves in and out, we already have everything. Buddhist teachings recall a Zen master saying that every morning upon opening his eyes, he would tell himself, "One more day to love, one more day to smile." Such a simple thought, yet it made life completely different. Because we don't live to race against time, but to feel every moment. If this morning you still hear birds singing on the porch, still smell the fragrant coffee spreading in your small kitchen, still can open the door yourself and step out to gaze at the sunrise, then you already possess a priceless gift. No one can buy such a peaceful morning, not even with all the gold and silver in the world. I once met an elderly person over 70, leisurely sweeping leaves on the temple porch. I asked if they got tired sweeping like that every day. They just smiled. Tired, yes, but I'm happy because today I still have the strength to hold the broom. As long as I can sweep leaves, I feel I am useful. Those words made me pause, realizing that gratitude isn't only for receiving something grand, but that even being able to do small things ourselves is already a blessing. In the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha once taught that a grateful person, one who lives gratefully, is rare in this world. That teaching not only reminds us to remember the kindness of others, but also advises us to cherish the very life we have. Today's breath is a more precious gift than all that we desire. Legs that can still walk are a miracle that not everyone gets to keep forever. And today's smile, whether to hide tears or share joy, is also a light that helps dispel the darkness in the soul. When we understand this, we no longer wait until illness strikes to wish for health, no longer wait until parting to long for a handshake. We don't have to fall into darkness to seek light. Instead, we live more fully, love more, and resent less. Every morning when you wake up, ask yourself, what will I be grateful for today? It might be a child's call of "Mommy" from beside the bed, a hot cup of tea someone placed outside your room, or simply that you are still here amidst this ever-changing stream of life. My friend, Life is as fragile as a dewdrop on a leaf. Here today, gone tomorrow, but precisely because it is fragile, it is precious. A day of still breathing, still walking, still smiling is a day worth living, worth loving, and worth giving thanks for. Don't let worries obscure the light of the present. Open your heart to gratitude, because gratitude is how we preserve happiness most enduringly. If you are hearing these words, I hope that right after this video ends, you will sit for a moment, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and then smile. Feel your heart beating, your hands still warm, your eyes still seeing the light, and whisper to yourself, I am grateful that I am alive. That is the greatest gift you can give yourself in this lifetime. And when you are grateful today, life will give you the miracles of tomorrow. If you have stayed with me until this very moment, perhaps your heart is also resonating with the simple yet profound things we have just shared. I humbly offer you my heartfelt thanks. Thank you for dedicating your valuable time to listen, to allow these Dharma teachings to gently touch your soul like a benevolent breeze on a summer afternoon. We are all walking our own paths. Some stretches are brightly lit by the morning sun, while others are shrouded in mist. But as long as we keep a small lamp within our hearts, a lamp of mindfulness, of gratitude, no matter where we are, we will still find our way home. I hope that the words you heard today will be like a small seed resting in the soil of your soul, so that one day, when you need it, it will sprout, grow leaves, and cast cool shade. If you feel a bit of peace, please share this video with your loved ones, because sometimes a gentle reminder, a simple story, can be a guiding light for someone who is wavering. And if you wish, I would love to read your shares, feelings, or your own stories in the comments section. Every line you leave is a connection, an invisible embrace that encompasses our community. You can also click the subscribe button for the Buddhist Teachings channel, so we can continue to walk together on the path of meditation and practice. Each time you return, I will be here waiting to listen to more Dharma teachings with you, to nourish peace in our souls together. I wish you and your loved ones always to be at peace. I wish that every morning you wake up, you find you still have breath, still have feet to walk, still have a smile, to know that this life is still opening its arms to welcome you. And no matter where tomorrow may lead, I hope you always keep a clear sky within your soul, a place where you can lean back and smile.